to a copy of a book I had written about industrial tomato agriculture and asked if I had brought it to court. I explained that one of the plaintiff's attorneys had requested a couple of copies and that I had waited until the noon recess to give them to the lawyer, who placed them face down on the table. After several more questions, Judge Cherry said that he was tempted to give me the same treatment he had given Hudson, but because my misdeeds did not rise to the level of hers, he was simply going to have me removed from his courtroom. The trial had been open to the media, and I had sat silently taking notes during the morning's session. I got an inkling of what may have been behind Judge Cherry's decision when I learned that a member of the hog farmers' legal team had seen me hand over the books and reported the incident to the judge. Ultimately, Judge Cherry declared a mistrial on the chance that the jurors could have been influenced if they had seen Hudson's book and pamphlets. Based on the opening statements I had heard, I could imagine plenty of reasons why the lawyers for the pork producers wouldn't want a journalist in the courtroom. During my 3 hours there, I had heard how a company run by one of the defendants had bought a small farm and, without informing any of the neighbors, erected 4 buildings and filled them with those 15,000 hogs. The plaintiff's lawyer said that the new pig factory emitted noxious odors through fans that blew dust, dander, and more than 200 gaseous chemical compounds over nearby homes. Manure, allowed to collect in the vast pits under the barns, and applied to fields without any treatment in quantities that made the ground too wet to plow, created a stench so bad that the neighbors, many from families who had lived on the same land for several generations, had to keep their windows closed in the summer. Within 2 months of the facility's opening, investigators from the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, found that dead hogs had been left lying around the barns to rot, creating more stink and attracting hordes of flies that pestered area residents. The 3 Hispanic employees who tended the pigs spoke no English and could not read state manuals on how to legally dispose of the pigs that died in their care, which the plaintiff's lawyer said could amount to 100 a week. State and federal officials had refused to act, forcing the reluctant plaintiffs to sue. The defense attorney countered that, this being rural Illinois, manure odors, flies, and dead livestock were simply facts of farming life, the nature of the business. Besides, the facility now sent animals that died to a rendering plant, a legal method of disposal. Those dust-spewing ventilators kept the pigs cool and healthy. Everything his clients did, including spraying manure on the land, complied with state regulations. The confinement buildings that housed the hogs were an example of innovation in the industry, and he would introduce expert witnesses who would testify that the farm attracting the neighbors' ire was a well-run, thoroughly modern operation. These facilities are lawfully there, he said. Both lawyers were right. The pig factory, with its thousands of crammed-together animals, did pollute the air. Animals did sicken and die by the hundreds. Neighbors could no longer enjoy their homes and yards. But it was all perfectly lawful. The pig factory was no different from thousands of other operations across the country that produce virtually all the pork eaten in the United States today. The chop that got me thinking about the way we raise pigs in this country came from a hog raised at Flying Pig's Farm, an idyllic stretch of pastures and forest set amid the hills of upstate New York. The pigs, hearty heritage breeds that don't fit the cookie-cutter demands of factory pork production, roam freely and produce the finest meat I've ever tasted. My chop was transcendent, red in color, and well marbled with strands of delicious fat that made it tender, juicy, and sublimely porky. It bore no resemblance to the bland, other white meat sold in supermarkets. It was as different as a hard, pinkish January tomato is from an heirloom pulled off the vine in a garden on a warm summer afternoon.